Here's a question about life after believing in Jesus. Here's the question. What's in it for me? Well, what's in it for you? What do you get and what's the cost of following Jesus without holding back? What's the price and what are the perks? This is about more than salvation. It's about following Jesus after salvation, about going all in, being a living sacrifice, paying the price to be his disciple. Well, asking what's in it for me is good. Jesus told us to sit down and count the cost of being his disciple. So it's a good question. Skeptic, this is about what the real Christian life is really like. And seeker, please take this as a personal invitation to become a believer and to go on to become a disciple. And believer, let me ask you this. Have you paid the full price to follow Jesus? Lots of people embrace the impoverished values of personal peace and affluence. That means being left alone and undisturbed so that you can, with more and more wealth, have your own space and your own toys. Those values may cloud the words of Jesus in John 10:10. He said, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Again, John 10:10, Jesus said, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. He did not come to give us, either you or me, personal peace and affluence. An accurate amplified paraphrase of that verse would be Jesus saying that he came to give us an extraordinary life, an uncommon life, a totally remarkable life, a life beyond measure. But that life is not defined by personal peace and affluence. What are the perks and what's the price? Well, let's start with some perks. Paraphrasing what Jesus said from Mark 10, there's no one who's given up much for my sake or for the gospel's sake, but that he will receive 100 times as much now in the present age, along with persecutions, and in the age to come, eternal life. In that, Jesus promised that we'll be rewarded for following him, for going all in, rewarded in this life and in eternity. But did you notice the phrase, along with persecutions? You see, tribulations and persecutions will come. However, if along the way you let endurance work its work, you'll become mature and complete. James, the half-brother of Jesus, wrote, Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. That last phrase, lacking in nothing, refers to a mature life in the center of God's will, an exceptional life that makes a difference here and a difference for eternity. Another perk comes at the rewards judgment of believers. The Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 3, For no man can lay a foundation other than Jesus Christ. Now if any man builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each man's work will become evident. For the day will show it, because it is to be revealed with fire. And the fire itself will test the quality of each man's work. If any man's work which he has built on it remains, he will receive a reward. If any man's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. So what's in it for you? The answer is blessings here and rewards in heaven, along with tribulations. Jesus said that true disciples live in his word. A life rooted in his word, the Bible makes us, as the Bible states, approved of God, purified, corrected and trained, guided in life, wise, comforted, revived, hopeful, content, joyful, and generally blessed. Is that a great list of perks or what? It's fantastic. Another reason to become a living sacrifice disciple is because you are commanded to be one. Romans 12:1 states it this way, Therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God to present, well, stop a second. The Greek verb there for present means a one-time, once-for-all presentation. So listen carefully. I'll start again. Therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies, once and for all, as a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. God's agenda for you, his agenda for you is to be a disciple rather than just a fire and life insurance believer. His plan for you is far better than any plan you've got for yourself. Trust him in that and pay the price to follow him. Well, Jesus paid the full price for your salvation. In response, shouldn't you pay the full price to be his disciple? The price is high, it is, but I can tell you, it's worth it. No one ever regrets doing life God's way. You'll never regret taking his high road, no matter how high the price. Well, what is that high price? In Luke 14, Jesus said that it is putting him above all else, above relationships, above your own life, above all that you hold dear. That means putting him above your personal peace and affluence, above your territory and above your toys. Will you go through tribulation for paying that price? Yes, you will. But you may need to reset your perspective. If you've been squeezed into this Western world's mold, you want to eliminate all sources of pain and suffering as quickly as possible and chemically dull the pain until that happens. You see, we might say, no pain, no gain. But we actually seldom embrace that in life. My basketball coach embraced that and pushed it on us, that no pain, no gain philosophy. And as a result, we won the championship. You see, suffering goes with victory, goes also with following Christ, victoriously following Christ. Philippians 1 states it this way, "For to you it has been granted for Christ's sake, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for his sake." And Jesus said, "A slave is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you." Don't think like a misguided Westerner. Have an eternal perspective. The Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 4, "We have this treasure in earthen vessels, so that the surpassing greatness of the power will be of God and not from ourselves. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not despairing, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. For momentary light affliction is producing for us an eternal weight of glory far beyond all comparison, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal." We should ask ourselves, do we really want to win in life? Will we pay the price to win? Well, start by getting right with God. Become a believer. Then present yourself to God once and for all time as a living, holy, and acceptable sacrifice. Jesus wants you to be more than a believer. He wants you to become his disciple. He wants you to come to him, but also to follow after him in obedience and in sacrifice. Salvation is based solely on his work and his sacrifice. But being a living sacrifice disciple is based on your work and your sacrifice. My encouragement to you is from 1 Corinthians 16. Be on the alert. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. In other words, man up. Stand up and be counted. Be counted as one of his disciples. Pay the price. It's a price worth giving because it's a life worth living. I'm John Morris. I'll see you on the next Just a Question.